Why are you still carrying burdens I never assigned to you? You've been trying to be strong for everyone, fixing everything, pleasing everyone, holding together a world that keeps falling apart. But none of that was ever your responsibility. You wake up exhausted before the day even begins, because the weight on your shoulders is not just physical, it's emotional, spiritual, and invisible to everyone but me. And I've seen it. I've seen the silent pressure that no one understands, the tension behind your smile, the heaviness you hide behind your laughter. You keep saying, "I'm okay," while your soul screams, "I'm breaking." My child, why do you think you have to be the healer, the helper, the hero, when I am the one who said, "Come to me, all who are weary"? That invitation was for you. I never asked you to be your own savior. I never asked you to perform to be love. You've taken on expectations I never placed on you, believed lies I never spoke to you, and held on to guilt I already died to remove. You carry blame for things that were never your fault. You carry the burden of trying to be perfect, to never fail, to never need help, and it's crushing your spirit. But I'm stepping into this moment now, not to add another task, but to take the burden off. You were not designed to carry what you're carrying. That's why it's breaking you. And I've been waiting, not with judgment, but with outstretched arms, saying, "Let me take it." The load you've grown used to, the stress, the anxiety, the fear of disappointing others, the wounds from your past. It's time to drop it at my feet. You don't have to understand everything to lay it down. You just need to trust that I'm strong enough to hold what you can't. I'm not asking you to fix everything. I'm asking you to surrender. You don't have to be the solution. You just have to come back to the source. Let me carry what was never meant for you to carry. I'm not watching from a distance. I'm right beside you, whispering, "You don't have to do this alone anymore." This moment is not your breaking point. It's your breakthrough. You've carried the weight long enough. And now let me carry you. There's a storm that lives inside you, and though no one else hears it, I do. You've mastered the art of pretending, nodding through conversations, smiling through sadness, functioning through fatigue. But I've seen what those around you miss. I've seen the moments when you look in the mirror and barely recognize yourself, wondering how you've made it this far while feeling so empty. There are wounds you've never had the courage to describe, memories that resurface at night like ghosts haunting your soul. You've swallowed your sorrow for so long that now even your joy feels foreign. But I've heard it all, the words you never formed, the prayers you were too afraid to whisper, the questions that never left your lips, but still echoed through your being. You thought no one noticed how hard you were trying to survive, but I noticed. You believed your silence went unnoticed, but your silence was louder to me than any scream. I sat beside you during the nights when your body was still but your spirit was wrestling. I listened when your chest ached with unspoken truths, when your eyes filled with unshed tears. I understood every sentence that trembled on your tongue but died before reaching your voice. You kept it all, and because you were told strength means never breaking. But I say true strength is knowing who to collapse in front of, and I have been waiting for you to collapse into me. I don't need eloquence or perfect prayers. I need your honesty. I don't want your performance. I want your presence. It's safe here. Your thoughts are safe here. Your regrets are safe here. Your secrets are safe here. You've trusted others and been disappointed. You've shared parts of your heart and been misunderstood. That's why you stopped talking. That's why you shut down. But I've never misheard you. I've never dismissed your agony. And I never will. I don't just understand your silence. I interpret it with compassion. I know why you avoid conversations. I know why your smile fades when no one's looking. I know why you distract yourself. Why you keep moving, why you resist rest. I know the story behind your silence. And I want you to know, I'm not afraid of any of it. You won't scare me away. I'm not like those who left when it got dark. I remain. I remain when the lights go out. I remain when you shut down. I remain when words run dry. You don't have to find the right sentences to be seen. You are already known. You are already heard. And now I invite you to speak. Not for me, but for you. Because silence has kept you surviving, but truth will help you live. Don't carry your agony alone another second. Pour it out here. Pour it out now. I'm not waiting for the polished version. I'm waiting for the real one. The version of you that is raw, bleeding, brave enough to say, I'm hurting, without shame. You've been unheard long enough. Now speak. I'm listening like no one ever has. Shut everything out for a moment. The deadlines, the noise, the scrolling, the opinions, the demands, none of that belongs here right now. This space isn't for them, it's sacred ground I set aside for this one conversation. I didn't call you here to fix a problem or to make you feel guilty. I called you here because I miss you. Not the version of you you've shown others. Not the image you've worked so hard to maintain. Just the real, raw, unfiltered soul that I created, shaped, and love without condition. This isn't a public broadcast. This is a private encounter. I didn't schedule this meeting on anyone's calendar. I wrote it into the rhythm of your spirit. And you felt it, didn't you? That quiet urging that told you to pause, to listen, to stop pretending you don't need me. That wasn't coincidence. That was my whisper reaching into your chaos. Because I don't want distractions in this moment. I don't want interference. I want intimacy. No rehearsed words, no borrowed prayers, no performance, only presence. You and me. The one who knows your beginning and your destiny, sitting in the same silence where your mind has screamed and your heart has wandered. Do you realize how long I've waited to have your full attention? How many times I tried to speak but was drowned out by everything else you gave your focus to? Not because I'm angry, but because I'm jealous for this time with you. Not a bitter jealousy, but a holy one. You give pieces of yourself to so many people, causes, crises, distractions. And yet the deepest parts of your heart, the ones that ache the most, you've saved for isolation. But I didn't design you to carry sacred things in solitude. You've been looking for someone who can sit with all of it. The mess, the confusion, the dreams you're too scared to say out loud. And that's why I brought you here. I can handle what others cannot. I can sit in silence with you without rushing to conclusions or demanding answers. I can hold your questions without needing to solve them in a sentence. I'm not uncomfortable with your doubts. I'm not disappointed by your emotions. I'm not impatient with your process. This isn't about religion. This is about relationship. And in this moment, I'm asking for yours. Not your perfect faith, not your polished theology, not your staged devotion. Just you. That's who I came for. I could speak to crowds. I could fill stadiums. I could command creation to listen. But I want this at just us. Because I see something in you worth pausing heaven for. I see a soul worth pursuing again and again, no matter how far you've drifted or how long it's been since you felt worthy of being seen. I see the person beneath the fear, beneath the responsibility, beneath the pain. And I want that person to feel safe enough to finally exhale. Tonight, the lights are off on the world stage, and the curtain has closed on your performances. All that remains is me and you. And in this quiet, I'm not asking you to do anything, only to be with me, to be honest, to be vulnerable, to be held. I'm not here to demand. I'm here to heal. And if all you do right now is sit in this sacred stillness, that's enough. Because this is what your soul had been craving, not another fix, but a Father's voice. And now, you have it. So stay. Don't rush. Don't explain. Just stay. It's finally time and I'm not letting go. You feel that stillness beginning to press against your soul. That's not tension, that's my nearness. I've held back the flood of all I've been wanting to say, not because I didn't care, but because I've been waiting for your heart to finally slow down enough to hear me. Not through a sermon, not through second-hand voices, not through passing moments that quickly fade. This is different. This is personal. This is me looking into the places you've hidden for too long. You felt me tugging at you through your restlessness, through the aching behind your distractions, through the fatigue that no sleep ever heals. That wasn't anxiety. That wasn't just a busy life. That was me, waiting to be noticed, gently interrupting your patterns so I could bring you into this moment, this face-to-face encounter that nothing can replace. I know how long you've been walking with your head down, carrying burdens with no name, wearing masks because you didn't feel safe to be seen. But I didn't come to look at what's on the surface. I came to meet the real you, the one even you stopped recognizing. You've had enough of shallow connections, enough of surface-level encouragement, enough of being told to stay strong while your heart feels like it's sinking. That's why I'm not sending anyone else this time. I'm not using middlemen. I'm not hiding behind symbols. This moment is sacred because I am here, not a concept, not a distant memory, not a storybook figure. I am alive, I am present, and I am speaking now because I want to go deeper than any conversation you've ever had. You don't need to schedule this time. You don't need to organize your thoughts. You don't even need to clean yourself up emotionally or spiritually. What I want is honesty. I want the trembling voice, the unspoken disappointments, the confusion you've buried under duty and routine. Look at me. Not with your eyes, with your heart. Look at me in that quiet place where you've been storing questions that had no safe place to land. I'm not offended by your doubts. I'm not overwhelmed by your fears. I'm not discouraged by your silence. I've been here, patiently, faithfully, through the times you ran, the days you withdrew, the seasons you forgot how to pray. I didn't turn away. I didn't walk out. And now I've come again, not to point fingers, but to hold out my hand. You keep thinking you have to chase me down, but it's always been the other way around. I've been following you through every hallway of your life, whispering through memories, calling through closed doors, knocking even when you stopped expecting me to show up. This is not a demand. It's an invitation. I'm not here to overwhelm you. I'm here to sit with you, uninterrupted. The world may have told you to keep moving, to stay busy, to earn rest. But I say, stop. Be still. Let me have this moment with you. Because there are things I need to tell you that no one else can say. There are wounds I want to heal that no human touch can reach. And it starts here, in this quiet exchange where I speak not to your performance, but to your personhood. I want you to know I see you, entirely, fully, without filter. And I'm not leaving. This conversation isn't short. This isn't a quick check-in. This is the moment I've been preparing since before your first breath. I've waited long enough, child. I'm here. And I'm not finished speaking. There have been too many voices pulling at your heart. Voices that promised peace but left you more anxious. Voices that claimed truth but twisted it for control. Voices that pretended to care but only left you emptier. You've been navigating through a maze of opinions, expectations, and noise that has drained your clarity and stolen your stillness. I watched you cling to advice that wounded your spirit more than it helped. I saw you chase affirmation from people who only knew fragments of your journey. I witnessed how easily their words pierced you, how quickly their approval became your identity. But I never designed your soul to be shaped by the inconsistent echo of human voices. You were created to hear mine, the voice that formed you, the voice that knew your name before anyone else ever spoke it, the voice that calms storms, opens blind eyes, and revives dead places. And now, I'm asking you to lean in, because if you listen closely, you'll realize I've never stopped speaking. It's just that the volume of other influences has been so loud, my whispers were buried beneath their demands. But I'm not here to compete. I don't shout over chaos. I speak peace into it. I won't force you to silence the world, but I will gently call you back until my sound becomes your safety again. You've been conditioned to listen to pressure, deadlines, guilt, fear, but those are not my language. I don't manipulate. I don't rush. I don't confuse. When I speak, clarity follows. When I speak, chains fall off. When I speak, your soul remembers who you are. You've listened long enough to fear disguised as wisdom, to culture posing as conviction, to shame cloaked in religion. I want to give you something real, not recycled, not second-hand, not filtered through broken lenses. Just real. My voice will never lead you where my presence won't follow. My voice doesn't change with trends or shift with seasons. It doesn't flatter, and it doesn't lie. It tells you what you need to hear, not to wound you, but to wake you up. Because I love you too much to let you be led by confusion. You've tried to find direction in the noise, but I am your compass. You've asked everyone else what you should do next, but I am your shepherd. You've waited for signs, but I've been the signal all along. The sound of my voice doesn't compete with fear, it drives fear out. And right now, I'm speaking again. Not through fear, but through love that confronts, that restores, that grounds. I'm reminding you that you weren't meant to be tossed back and forth by conflicting opinions. You weren't meant to change who you are just to be accepted. You weren't meant to shrink your identity just to avoid rejection. My voice affirms what I placed in you from the beginning. My voice doesn't shame you into obedience, it calls you into relationship. You've heard enough from the world about who you're not. Let me tell you who you are. You are not a mistake. You are not a burden. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are mine. And when I speak the truth over you, no lie can stick. No label can remain. No voice can override it. So quiet the noise. Come back to the one voice that has never changed, never misled, never left. Let my voice become your anchor again, not just today, but every day from here. Because when you begin to hear me again, everything else will finally make sense. Even in your lowest, darkest, most distant moments, when your actions did reflect faith, when your choices betrayed the hope inside you, when you convinced yourself you were unworthy of any kind of affection, I still adored you. My love didn't shrink when you drifted. My love didn't pause when you doubted. It didn't cool down when you turned your back. I didn't withdraw affection while waiting for you to earn it back. That's not who I am. That's not what love looks like when it's eternal, relentless, and unbreakable. You've been measuring love based on behavior, your own, and others. But my love was never about conditions. I didn't start caring for you after you improved. I didn't start pursuing you after you started praying. I've been here from the beginning, from the first breath you took, through every stumble, through every season you felt unlovable. The truth is, I've loved you through every single contradiction you've lived through, when you smiled in public but collapsed in private, when you proclaimed trust but secretly panicked, when you reached for hope but still entertained despair. I didn't flinch. I didn't walk away. I stayed. I stayed when you forgot me. I stayed when you didn't want to talk. I stayed when you questioned everything. I stayed because my love is not based on your consistency, it's rooted in my character. I don't love you more on your good days or less on your worst. I don't grade you on performance. I embrace you in process. That's the difference between me and everything else that's ever disappointed you. Others loved you for what you gave, what you provided, what you could be for them. But I love you for your soul, for your essence, for the parts of you no one else ever took the time to see. I never stopped loving the parts you've tried to hide. I never stopped loving the voice that broke while praying. I never stopped loving the dreams you buried because of fear. My love has no off switch. You've tried to run from it, to silence it, to drown it out. But here you are, still chased down by the same tenderness that refuses to let you go. You've confused correction with abandonment, but I correct because I cherish. I guide because I value. I call out more in you because I see more in you. My love never came to condemn, it came to revive. And even now, while you carry questions about why you were hurt, overlooked, betrayed, misunderstood, I want you to understand this. My love never once took a break. Not in the betrayal. Not in the silence. Not in the heartbreak. Even when your trust in me fractured, my affection toward you didn't waver. You are not difficult to love. You are not too much. You are not too broken. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are not the exception to grace. My heart has always had your name carved into it, not with ink, but with blood, proof that I chose you long before you had a chance to choose me. I've never stopped preparing a place for you, not just in eternity, but here, in this very moment. A place where you can be honest. A place where you don't have to pretend. A place where you can fall apart without being abandoned. You've been longing to be loved like this, but afraid it even exists. It does. You're experiencing it right now. It's me. It's always been me. My love is not distant. It's not weak. It's not unsure. It's here. It's now. And it's not going anywhere. When everything around you crumbled and the winds of chaos pushed you to your knees, you assumed I had walked away. You believed the silence meant absence. You cried out in desperation, and when no immediate change came, your heart whispered lies. That I had left, that I had chosen someone else, that you weren't worth saving. But child, I was never gone. I didn't stand at a distance watching you struggle. I entered the furnace with you. I sat with you in the waiting room of unanswered prayers. I carried you when your steps became too heavy. I surrounded you when fear closed in. I didn't remove the storm because I was strengthening you through it. Not because I enjoy watching you suffer, but because I know what you will become on the other side of it. Every time you screamed into the dark and heard nothing in return, I was closer than your very breath, guarding what the battle couldn't reach, your spirit. I didn't protect your circumstances. I protected you. And you're still here. That's not chance. That's not luck. That's me. That's my grip holding you when everything else slipped away. When the people you counted on vanished. When your security shattered. When the path you trusted suddenly disappeared. I never let go. You may not have seen my hands, but you've lived because of them. You may not have heard my voice clearly, but it was my strength that kept your heart from giving out completely. What you thought was abandonment was actually preservation. I didn't remove the weight. I stood beneath it with you. I didn't stop the lightning. I became your shelter. I didn't calm the winds right away. I made sure they didn't destroy what mattered most inside you. The moments when you felt nothing were the very ones when I was doing the most. The emptiness you feared was evidence that you had finally run out of your own strength, which is where my power begins. You saw the waves. I saw your faith surviving underneath them. You saw the darkness. I saw the flicker that refused to die out. You saw the loss. I saw the resurrection already in motion. I didn't walk away. I leaned in. I didn't ignore you. I interceded for you when you had no words left. When you were too numb to pray, I was still moving on your behalf. I never expect you to always understand what I'm doing. But I invite you now to recognize what I never did. I never abandoned you. I never stopped caring. I never ceased working in the unseen places, where healing grows quietly, where restoration is conceived in silence, where miracles take root without sound. You kept asking me to speak louder, but I wanted to train your heart to trust deeper. And though you didn't see it at the time, every tear, every sigh, every moment of surrender made space for something greater than what you thought you lost. I was pruning, not punishing. I was preparing, not punishing. I was protecting, not punishing. And now I speak this clearly. You were never forsaken. You were never discarded. You were never alone. You were being carried, shielded, and held with a love that does not flee when conditions worsen. The storm didn't prove I had left. It revealed I never left your side. You thought they disappeared, dinged you. The moments when your face turned away from the world, and your hands covered your eyes because you didn't want anyone to see you break. I saw the nights when your pillow was soaked with questions, the quiet corners you ran to just to let out what you couldn't say aloud. None of it escaped my notice. Every single drop that rolled down your cheek carried meaning, and I gathered them, not as reminders of your weakness, but as records of your endurance. The world teaches you to dry your eyes quickly and move on, but I tell you, even your weeping has worth in my kingdom. You wept because you cared, because you trusted, because you dared to hope. You wept because something inside of you refused to turn cold. And those tears became prayers when your words failed. You may have believed no one would understand what broke you, but I did. You may have assumed you were weeping alone, but I was kneeling right beside you, catching everyone. I didn't brush them aside. I didn't overlook them. I honored them, every unspoken cry, every suppressed ache, every moment your chest trembled trying to hold it together. What you considered wasted emotion became sacred offering. You think I only respond to strength, but I'm drawn to vulnerability. I'm drawn to the soul that dares to feel, even when it hurts. The tears you shed in silence, away from the applause and attention, were some of your most powerful moments. They reached me in ways your words never could. Because in that space, you stopped pretending, and I met you in truth. And though no one else followed up with concern, though others moved on while you were still hurting, I remained. I stayed until your weeping began to shift into worship, until your shaking turned into surrender. And I've kept them all. Not in some forgotten place, but in a place where beauty rises from pain. You didn't see it, but those tears watered seeds of transformation. Where others saw breakdown, I was nurturing breakthrough. Where others would have walked away, I kept holding on. Do you know what I see when I look at your weeping? Not shame, not embarrassment, not failure. I see evidence that your heart still feels, still hopes, still longs. I see evidence that you are alive, not numb, not indifferent, but tender in a world that tries to harden everything it touches. So no, your tears were never wasted. I softened the ground where joy will return. They cleared space for newness to enter. They emptied what bitterness tried to fill. And I've saved them not as memories of sorrow, but as proof that even when life tried to silence you, you still expressed your soul. You still reached for me, even through the sobbing. And now I speak this with gentle authority. The days of weeping will not be endless. I will return laughter where mourning lived. I will play songs where groans once echoed. But I don't despise your tears. I treasure them. And I use them to write stories the world has yet to read. Stories where brokenness becomes boldness, where fragility births strength, where your story becomes a testimony of survival soaked in grace. The hidden tears you shed didn't disappear into nothing. They flowed into my hands, and they've become the ink of redemption. You've carried this as if the outcome rested solely on your shoulders, haven't you? You've stretched yourself so thin trying to patch what keeps breaking, managing the expectations of others, holding together what feels like it's falling apart behind closed doors. You plan, you push, you calculate, you hustle, hoping that maybe this time, if you just try hard enough, something will finally stay whole. But while your hands have been full of control, your heart has been starving for connection with me. You've made progress, yes, but not peace. You've moved forward, but not freely. You've survived, but not settled into rest. You've treated me like a backup plan, calling when it all unravels. But I was never meant to be the final resort. I was always supposed to be the foundation. And I've watched you wear yourself down in your silent determination to fix what was never yours to manage alone. You see the cracks, and you panic. I see them too. But I'm not worried, because I'm the healer of broken pieces, not just the observer of damage. I've been knocking at the door of your exhaustion, not to shame you, but to remind you that my power is made perfect when yours runs out. I didn't create you to carry this pressure in isolation. I didn't design your mind to spiral with what ifs or your heart to tremble beneath every unmet deadline, disappointment, or delay. I know how much effort you've poured into making everything okay, holding people together, picking up slack no one noticed, bearing your needs so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. But in the process, you've pushed me to the sidelines, treating my presence as optional instead of essential. And now I'm asking, will you let me be more than a rescue plan? Will you allow me to step into the decisions, the details, the tension, and not just the aftermath? You think surrender is weakness, but it's wisdom. It's not giving up, it's giving over. It's the moment you say, I can't do this without you, and discover that I've been waiting for those words, not because I enjoy watching you struggle, but because I've been aching to walk beside you, not just behind you. I'm not coming to take over in domination. I come to dwell in invitation. I enter where I'm welcomed. And today, I stand in front of the weary structure you've tried to hold upright with your own strength, and I offer something stronger, myself. Let me take the burden. Let me help you breathe again. Let me rearrange what you've been trying to force into place. I don't need your plan to bless you. I don't need perfection to move. I just need access. I don't want to only visit your life when there's chaos. I want to walk through the ordinary with you, guide you in the daily, speak into the quiet, build something unshakable with you. But for that, you have to stop locking me out of the process. You've seen what your efforts alone produce: cycles, exhaustion, frustration. Now let me show you what grace can do, how it can multiply the little you have into more than enough, how it can take pressure off your chest and replace it with peace that doesn't collapse when things don't go as planned. Invite me in, not just as your savior, but as your counselor, your partner, your provider, your rest. This battle isn't yours to win alone. It never was. You've proven your strength. Now let me show you mine. Don't mistake my tone for reprimand. I'm not here to criticize your every move or measure your worth by your failures. I'm not standing over you with a list of where you went wrong or demanding you explain why it all fell apart. I didn't come to pile guilt on top of grief or shame on top of sorrow. I came to intervene, because the enemy has tried long enough to convince you that you were too far gone, too hard to reach, too complicated to redeem. But I'm standing in the middle of everything trying to pull you under, and I'm declaring once and for all, not on my watch. I didn't wait for you to get it together before setting my eyes on you. I didn't hold back until you proved your value. I moved in even when you weren't looking for me. You've been drowning in expectations, in regrets, in thoughts that spiral into fear, and I've been extending my hand through it all. You keep waiting for someone to see how close you are to collapsing, but I already saw it, and I didn't hesitate. I didn't send help. I am the help. I didn't send hope. I'm the hope. I didn't send someone else to find you. I came myself. I left what was comfortable to enter what you thought was condemned. And I didn't come to observe. I came to restore. You are not a project to me. You are not a task. You are not a number in a crowd. You are the one I wept over. The one I bled for. The one I could not bear to leave behind. And even if no one else sees the urgency in your situation, I do. Even if others have moved on from your pain, grown tired of your process, or overlooked your cry for help, I haven't. I'm not annoyed by your neediness. I'm not frustrated by how long this is taking. I'm not wondering why you're still not over it. I'm here because I know what's at stake. Your peace. Your purpose. Your future. And I will not stand by while it all slips through your hands. You keep waiting for the perfect moment to get back on your feet. But I'm not asking you to rise on your own. I'm stepping into the rubble and lifting you myself. This isn't about earning another chance. It's about realizing I am the chance. You thought you needed to start from scratch, to rebuild what life tore down. But I came not to patch your old foundation, but to lay a new one. One that doesn't shake when the storms return. One that holds firm when people walk away. One that stands tall not because of your strength but because of my presence. I'm not here to preach at you. I'm here to pull you out of the place that tried to bury you. This is the rescue, and you are the reason for it. I didn't stumble into your life. I aimed for it. I knew where you'd be. I knew what would be broken. I knew how it would look. And I still said, that one is mine. I'm not asking you to climb out. I'm asking you to let me enter. Let me step into the middle of your mess without flinching. I'm not disgusted by the parts of you that you hide. I'm not intimidated by the confusion you carry. I'm not slowed down by the pain that weighs on you. I came knowing every detail, and I'm staying for every step. This is not a warning. This is not a lecture. This is your lifeline. And I'm not leaving without you. You didn't see me there, but I never left your side. Not for a breath, not for a second, not even when you were sure no one could possibly understand the heat of what you were going through. I didn't watch from a distance. I stepped into the furnace with you. The pressure that felt like it would consume you, the flames that surrounded your mind, the chaos that kept coming in waves. I was there, in the middle of all of it. I know it didn't feel like it. I know it seemed like the silence meant I had turned my face away. But I was closer than your pain, nearer than the threat, more present than your next heartbeat. The fire didn't burn you because I stood between you and the thing that came to destroy you. I wasn't shielding you from outside. I was absorbing it beside you. Every time you reached out, hoping for a rescue, unsure if anything divine was listening, I was holding you from the inside. I didn't remove the heat, because I was forging something unshakable in you through it. Not punishment, preparation, not abandonment, alignment. You looked around and couldn't find anyone who truly understood, anyone who could see past your mask and into the deep parts that were silently breaking. But I was there, whispering strength into the cracks before they could collapse. I know what you lost. I know what you endured. I know how much it cost you to keep moving forward when everything inside wanted to give up. You held on longer than anyone expected. And while others only saw your outer survival, I witnessed the inner warfare, the thoughts, the pressure, the mental battle that no one could define, but I fully understood. That season didn't break you. It revealed you. It exposed the strength I buried in your spirit long before the battle ever began. You didn't walk out of the fire by accident. You walked out because I was the one carrying the weight you thought would crush you. The sleepless nights, the sickening fears, the ache of wondering if any of it mattered, none of that escaped my gaze. I never stepped away. Even when your prayers became groans, even when your questions turned into silence, I remained. You did have to feel me for me to be real. You did have to see my hand to be held. I don't need validation to stay loyal. My loyalty to you was proven in the fire, when others walked away, when help didn't come, when you were left holding the broken pieces of what used to feel safe. I stood still. And that's why you made it through. Not because you had it all figured out. Not because you never wavered. But because I never stopped anchoring you in the middle of the shaking. Every step you thought you took alone, I was there. Every tear you wiped in private, I caught before it hit the ground. Every scream you swallowed just to keep peace around others, I heard. I was the whisper that reminded you not to give up. I was the strength that came out of nowhere. I was the breath you didn't know how to take, but somehow still did. I know the fire scared you. I know it left marks no one sees. But I also know what it gave you. Resilience, dependence, clarity, authority. And now, on the other side, I speak this over you. You are not burned. You are standing. And I am still with you, not just to look back on what was, but to walk you into what's next. You became so skilled at pretending, didn't you? The way you held your head high while everything inside you was unraveling. It looked like confidence, but I knew it was survival. You've mastered the quiet art of enduring in silence, nodding while your heart was breaking, comforting others while you were barely holding yourself together. They saw the brightness in your eyes and assumed you were okay, but I knew you were barely breathing underneath the surface. You've laughed in rooms where your soul was weeping, shown up when you wanted to disappear, extended kindness while begging for someone to just notice you were not okay. And even when no one asked the questions that could have opened the door to your truth, I watched. I never missed it. I didn't overlook your invisible battles. While others applauded your strength, I saw the private war behind your strength. I saw the way you pushed through days where your mind was clouded with discouragement, how you whispered pep talks to yourself just to make it to the next hour. You've been strong for so long that even you forgot what it feels like to be comforted, to be held, to be truly known without needing to explain or justify your pain. And here I am, not demanding more from you, but coming to acknowledge what you've been surviving. I saw the nights where you stared at the ceiling, wondering if it would ever get easier. I noticed the mornings where you questioned the point of trying again. I heard the noise in your thoughts, the pressure in your chest, the heaviness you carried with grace that no one appreciated. And child, I want you to hear this clearly. I don't celebrate your ability to hide. I celebrate your decision to endure when hiding was all you had. But I didn't create you to live behind a mask. You've done enough pretending. You've shown enough strength for people who never asked if you were tired. I'm not impressed by your ability to fake a smile. I'm moved by the pain behind it, and I want to meet you there. I want to sit with the version of you that doesn't perform, doesn't overthink, doesn't feel obligated to hold everything together. You don't have to keep proving that you're strong. I know how heavy it's been. I know how brave it was to keep showing up when you felt invisible. And I want you to finally let go of the weight of looking okay. You're allowed to be vulnerable with me. You're allowed to be honest here. I don't need the polished version. I want the version you've been protecting. That's the one I love. The one who's tired of hiding. The one who longs to be seen beneath the surface. You were never meant to be a silent warrior forever. You were meant to walk in freedom, not behind a wall of self-protection. So today, I invite you to stop performing. Stop pretending. Stop hiding the battles that have already drawn my heart toward you. I'm not just aware of them. I've been fighting for you in places you didn't even know were under attack. I've been defending you in the spiritual realm while you smiled through emotional pain. I've been pouring grace into your hidden places while you tried to look composed. And now, I want you to bring all of it into the light, not for judgment, but for healing. Because I don't love the version you've built for others. I love the person you really are underneath it all. You don't have to hide anymore. Not from me. Not ever again. You assumed that because it didn't happen when you asked, I must have said no. You believed that the silence was a rejection, that the waiting meant you were forgotten, that because the doors didn't open right away, I must have changed my mind about you. But child, I never withdrew what I promised. I've been building the foundation so it can carry the weight of what's coming. You've cried over timing, not realizing how much I've been protecting you from what wasn't ready. You saw nothing moving and thought I wasn't working, but in the unseen, I was orchestrating far more than you asked for. While you were worried about when, I was focused on how. I was aligning people, clearing obstacles, restructuring circumstances, and refining your character so you wouldn't just receive the blessing, you would be prepared to keep it. You've been staring at closed opportunities like tombstones, grieving what didn't happen, not knowing that I had something better still forming. I wasn't punishing you with Paul, I was helping you through it. You asked me to guide you, and I did. But guidance doesn't always look like acceleration. Sometimes it looks like stillness that strengthens, like delays that deepen trust, like prayers that go unanswered long enough to change your heart before I change your surroundings. You've measured my goodness based on speed, but I move in seasons, not seconds. I'm not in a hurry. I'm invested in your becoming, not just your arriving. I don't want to give you what you're asking for if it will crush the version of you I'm shaping. And while you've questioned whether I heard you, I've been preparing more than you imagined. Not just giving you a future, but preparing you to thrive in it. You've looked at others passing you, succeeding, celebrating, and wondered if I skipped over your name. But comparison only distracts you from the quiet work I am doing in the depths. You don't see the roots growing in darkness, but I do. I know when it's time to lift you into the light. I know when the soil has done its job. I know when the waiting has completed its assignment. And I won't release you early just to ease your discomfort. I love you too much to let you enter the next without everything you'll need to stand firm in it. You haven't been overlooked. You've been under construction. And I never build halfway. I finish what I start. That dream you thought died, I've been watering it behind the scenes. That breakthrough you almost gave up on, it's closer than you think, not because of striving, but because of surrender. Stop believing that not yet means not ever. Stop interpreting my silence as absence. I've been speaking through process, through patience, through preparation. And now, I want you to stop fighting the timing and start trusting the pace. You're not late. You're not left behind. You're not disqualified. You're right where I need you to be while I finish what only I can complete. This journey is not a punishment. It's a setup for glory. And when you look back, you'll see what I was protecting you from, what I was preparing you for, and how every single pause was a gift in disguise. I wasn't denying you. I was developing you. And now, the time is almost here. You've let so many voices convince you otherwise, the ones that told you you're too flawed, too inconsistent, too much, or maybe not enough. You've questioned your place because of the silence around you, because people stopped checking in, because doors didn't open like you thought they would, because progress felt invisible. And slowly, that lie began to settle in, that maybe I moved on from you, that maybe I had better options, that maybe you were just another name among millions, lost in the crowd of others who seemed more qualified, more faithful, more usable. But today, I speak straight into that fog. You are mine, and I haven't changed my mind about you. You are not an accident. You are not a backup plan. I haven't benched you or put your purpose on hold out of disappointment. I've been refining your heart for alignment, not disqualifying it through delays. The enemy wants you distracted by absence so you'll forget identity. He wants to distort your reflection so you'll doubt your calling. But what I placed inside you still burns. You've tried to dim it just to blend in, to avoid the ache of waiting, to shield yourself from the fear that maybe you misheard me. But that inner fire, that pull that keeps returning, that desire that refuses to die, it's still alive because I'm still speaking over it. You were not overlooked. You were handpicked. Before the world had categories, I had intentions. Before rejection shaped your self-worth, I stamped my approval on your soul. And I don't revoke what I ordain. I don't label based on performance. I don't choose based on perfection. I move through willingness, through yielded hearts, through those who remain open even while limping. You've looked at your scars and called them disqualifiers. I call them proof you've been through something and didn't quit. You've let shame write chapters in your mind, but I've already authored a destiny that shame can't erase. Your life is not on pause because of punishment. It's in motion toward a purpose bigger than you can comprehend. I didn't forget about you while writing stories for others. I've been scripting something specifically tailored to your uniqueness. Your voice carries weight in heaven. Your presence matters in places you've never even stepped into yet. And just because others failed to recognize your value doesn't mean it vanished. I never needed human approval to confirm your anointing. I never waited for a crowd to celebrate you before I called you worthy. I've watched you question your place while comparing yourself to others walking in theirs. But their pace isn't your template. Their lane isn't your measure. I set you apart for something that no one else can fulfill in exactly the way you will. And yes, it's taken time. Yes, it's looked different. Yes, it's required you to stand alone. But being set apart often feels like being left out, until the appointed moment arrives. And child, it's arriving. Not because you earned it, but because I never forgot what I started. So I need you to stop speaking lies over yourself. Stop calling yourself unworthy. Stop labeling yourself disqualified. Start agreeing with me again. Start standing on the truth that you were formed with intention. Start believing that you haven't missed it, that you aren't invisible to the one who designed your very breath. You are not just noticed. You are known. You are not just remembered. You are carried. You are not just included. You are chosen. And I will prove it, not with noise, but with fulfillment that speaks louder than doubt ever could. You keep replaying moments I already released you from, as if dragging them through your memory somehow pays off a debt I already canceled. You've rehearsed every wrong decision, every missed opportunity, every word you wish you could take back. You labeled yourself by your lowest point and convinced yourself that I must see you the same way. But I don't. I never defined you by failure. I never gave your weakness the authority to rewrite your future. I don't hold your past like evidence against you. I hold your heart, waiting for you to finally believe me when I said it is finished. My mercy is not selective. My grace doesn't expire. The cross wasn't partial, it was absolute. The blood that poured out didn't come with conditions. I didn't die so you could keep punishing yourself for what I already forgave. You've been haunted by memories, but I've been trying to free you from the prison of self-condemnation. You think you're stuck because of your mistakes, but you're stuck because you've refused to let me define you by what I've done rather than what you've done. I know exactly what happened. I know the thought behind the action, the wound behind the reaction, the motive behind the stumble. And I didn't walk away. I didn't rewrite your identity. I didn't revoke your purpose. Instead, I covered it. I stood in front of the accuser. I silenced every charge. I washed what you thought could never be made clean. You keep dragging chains I've already shattered. You keep returning to graves I already emptied. Stop feeding the lie that says you're too far gone. If your failure had the power to cancel my plans, I would have never chosen you to begin with. I knew your entire story when I called your name. I saw the detours before you took them. I saw the collapse before it came. And I still said, that one belongs to me. You don't need to fix it. You need to receive the truth that I've forgiven it. I didn't come for the perfect. I came for the willing. I didn't come for the qualified. I came for the surrendered. I didn't come for the ones who never fall. I came for the ones who fall and still reach out. That's you. And I'm not ashamed of your story. I'm redeeming it. I'm writing beauty over the broken lines. I'm building something holy from what you thought disqualified you. You've asked, but how could you still want me after that? And I answer, because I've never stopped seeing who you are beneath the stain. My love is not eroded by your humanity. It flows deeper than regret. You're not the sum of your failures. You're the reflection of my relentless mercy. You're not disqualified. You're in the middle of restoration. And I'm not done with you. I never was. The calling still stands. The assignment still waits. The future I placed within you hasn't vanished. It's waiting for you to step forward without shame, without fear, without dragging yesterday into today. Let me show you what redemption really looks like, not erasing your story, but transforming it into something that shouts of my faithfulness. You don't have to keep explaining yourself. You don't have to earn another chance. You just have to come. Come back. Come home. Come boldly. You're not disqualified, you're mine. And I already made that final. You searched in every direction, haven't you? Looking for clarity in opinions, signs in circumstances, comfort in temporary voices that only echoed your fears back to you. You've asked questions in every space that sounded convincing but left you empty when the conversation ended. You scrolled, listened, compared, observed, hoping one sentence, one solution, one path would finally quiet the noise inside your mind. But the more you consumed, the more uncertain you became. That's not because you're broken, it's because your spirit was never designed to be filled by the world's answers. What they offer is surface level, shifting with the culture, changing with time, rooted in self-preservation. But I am not offering temporary relief. I am truth in its purest form. Unchanging, timeless, unmoved by opinion or trend. And right now, I need you to understand something deeper. The void you're trying to fill with logic was shaped to be filled with me. Your mind has tried to calculate what only revelation can unlock. You've turned to voices that can guess, speculate, advise, but only I can reveal. I don't deal in guesses. I speak with authority. I don't give vague directions. I whisper clear, divine instruction. And no, it's not always what you expected to hear. Sometimes my truth confronts where you've been hiding. Sometimes it calls you out of what's familiar. But it will never deceive you. It will never manipulate you. It will never leave you in confusion. You've been weary not just from the waiting, but from the weight of too many opinions pulling at your peace. The more you searched externally, the more your internal compass has been thrown off balance. That's because you were designed to walk in alignment, not just awareness. The world gave you facts, I hold discernment. They gave you statistics, I give strategy. They offered you formulas, I give vision. What you need isn't more information, it's transformation. And that only comes when you sit with me long enough to hear what your soul actually craves. You don't need another prediction. You don't need more noise. You need my voice to settle the questions that have lingered too long. I'm not hiding from you. I'm inviting you deeper. I don't want you just to hear what's convenient. I want you to encounter what's true. I want you to see what I see, the bigger picture that goes beyond your current uncertainty. You've tried to make decisions based on what others think is wise, but I want to teach you how to walk by faith, not just logic. A world told you to take control. I'm telling you to trust. A world told you to rush. I'm telling you to rest. The world told you to figure it out on your own. I'm telling you to bring it to me and let me speak clarity where there's been confusion. You keep asking everyone else, what should I do? But the real question is, what have I already said? Because I have been speaking. Through stillness, through conviction, through closed doors and open ones, through the quiet tug you've been ignoring. My words won't sound like fear. It won't sound like pressure. They won't sound like chaos. My truth cuts through the fog. And once you hear it, really hear it, you'll never be able to settle for less again. So stop seeking validation from sources that didn't create you. Come back to the one who knows every detail of your design and every step of your journey. I hold the blueprint. I hold the map. I hold the answer. And I'm not withholding it from you. I'm waiting for you to want me more than you want the outcome. Because when you do, you will just bit truth. You will bit freedom. What you've been interpreting as emptiness is actually evidence of something sacred stirring. The restlessness you keep brushing off as weakness is the signal I placed inside you. A divine discomfort meant to pull you closer, not push you away. You've tried to ignore it, to numb it, to silence it with distraction or productivity, but it lingers because it's not a symptom of defeat. It's a whisper from me, reminding you that you were created for more than just functioning. That aching isn't proof you've fallen behind. It's confirmation you haven't settled. It's not exposing your shortcomings. It's awakening your sensitivity. You've mistaken that hollow feeling as something to fix, but I placed it there to guide, not condemn. It's me knocking on the door of your soul, asking to go deeper, to uncover the parts of you that have grown numb trying to survive. The ache is holy. The ache is divine tension, not because you're broken, but because you're on the verge of becoming. I didn't let you feel it so you would question your worth. I allowed it so you'd lean into my presence more than ever before. That pull in your chest that returns when everything else quiets down. That's not anxiety. That's your spirit responding to my nearness, even when your mind doesn't know how to define it. You weren't created to be satisfied by shallow things. That's why even when you chase what others call success, the peace doesn't last. That's why even when your environment improves, the unsettled part of you still whispers, there must be more. And there is. That ache is not a flaw. It's an alarm. It's how I alert you when you're drifting too far from your true design. It's how I call you back when your heart starts settling for less than your destiny. I don't use shame to guide you. I don't manipulate through fear. I use longing. I stir up desire. I allow hunger to remain just enough to remind you that I alone am the bread of life. I let the thirst persist so you'll come not to broken wells, but to living water. And the ache, though uncomfortable, is one of the greatest gifts I've given you, because it keeps you searching for what truly satisfies. You've tried to dismiss it as oversensitivity, but I call it spiritual depth. You've labeled it emotional weakness, but I call it spiritual awareness. That ache is proof that your heart is still tender, still awake, still listening. It means you haven't gone numb. It means you haven't stopped caring. It means my spirit is still moving within you, even if you don't feel strong, even if you've been silent, even if you don't know how to respond. You don't have to run from it. You don't have to explain it. You just need to bring it to me and ask, Lord, what are you saying through this? Because I'm saying something. I'm leading you through what you thought was just heaviness. I'm speaking through the ache. I'm revealing what can't be seen when everything feels fine. I'm drawing your attention inward, where I'm doing the real work, building endurance, shaping compassion, stretching your faith. The ache is not punishment. It's the beginning of new vision. It's the birthplace of deeper intimacy. It's the seed of your next chapter. You've seen it as a sign that something is wrong, but it's actually proof that something sacred is right beneath the surface, waiting to rise. And now, I'm asking you to stop resenting the ache and start recognizing it as my presence calling you to respond. Don't ignore it. Don't despise it. Let it lead you back to the only place it will ever be satisfied, in me. You thought because you stumbled you had to hide. You convinced yourself that your silence meant separation, that your distance somehow changed my love. You kept your head low, not just out of regret, but because you thought you disappointed me so deeply that restoration was no longer an option. You whispered apologies into the darkness, hoping I heard you, but too afraid to step close again. And in those moments, when you felt furthest from me, when you turned inward, hoping no one would see your struggle, I never moved. I didn't flinch when you failed. I didn't fold my arms in disappointment. I didn't stop calling your name in the stillness. I didn't change my posture toward you because of the battle you lost. I stayed. I stayed through the doubts you thought disqualified you. I stayed through the decisions you regretted before they were even finished. I stayed when you shut the door and told yourself you'd return later, once you felt more worthy. But hear me now. There was never a moment I loved you less. Not one breath passed where I turned my face from you. Even when you avoided me, I pursued you. Even when shame clouded your view, my eyes were locked on your breakthrough. The enemy lied to you, convincing you that failure makes you invisible to me, but the truth is, it makes you more reachable, because brokenness draws my mercy like a magnet. I am not disgusted by your struggle. I don't reject the weak. I restore them. I don't shame the fallen. I lift them. I'm not looking for your perfection, I'm longing for your return. You don't need to rehearse an apology. You don't need to explain why you ran. I already knew. And I've already made a way back, paved not with guilt, but with grace. You believed your silence was the end of our connection, but I used that silence to speak more deeply into your soul. I never stopped preparing a place for you. I never removed your seat at my table. I never revoked the promise I spoke over your life. You allowed your mistakes to build a wall, but I've been breaking bricks with every breath you took in sorrow. You avoided me thinking I'd be angry, but I was grieving with you. Not because you disappointed me, but because I saw how shame was stealing your voice, your courage, your joy. I wanted to remind you that I didn't choose you because of your flawless record. I chose you because I know what I placed inside of you. and that hasn't changed. Your detour didn't erase your design. Your sin didn't cancel your significance. You are not dirty, you are deeply loved. You are not beyond repair, you are already being rebuilt. You are not lost, you are seen. I'm not standing on the other side of your guilt waiting for you to climb out. I'm already in the pit with you, holding the light. I'm here, not to interrogate you, but to hold you. Not to lecture, but to lead you back to peace. And when you finally lift your head and meet my gaze again, you won't find disgust. You'll find devotion. I never stopped loving you. I never looked away. And now, I'm asking you to come out of hiding, not because I demand it, but because your heart has suffered long enough without the healing that only my presence brings. I see you. I always did. And I still want you, fully, completely, right here, right now. You've wondered if you missed your moment, if the silence meant your chance expired, if too much time passed between your last amen and now. You've looked at the calendar, the clock, the seasons that slipped away, and asked yourself, did I wait too long? But here's the truth. I don't work on human schedules. I move by purpose, not pressure. And while the world rushes, I redeem. While others measure delay by missed opportunity, I measure it by divine alignment. What you call late, I call right on time. What you see as years wasted, I see as soil tilled for something supernatural. I've never once been behind. You haven't fallen out of step. You've simply been walking through layers of preparation you didn't even realize were needed. You see lost time, but I see deepened capacity. You see detours, but I see reroutes that saved your future from things you didn't even know were waiting to harm you. I'm not in a hurry because I'm not uncertain. I don't rush restoration, I perfect it. I wait until the foundation is strong enough to carry the weight of what I want to build. And you, beloved, have been in the process, not forgotten, not discarded, but prepared to quiet. It's not too late to step into what I've spoken over you. It's not too late to return. It's not too late to receive. Time hasn't disqualified you. It has refined you. A delay didn't shut the door. It deepened the invitation. I wasn't punishing you with waiting. I was positioning you to receive the fullness, not just the fragments. You see, I'm not interested in rushed blessings that crumble under pressure. I'm interested in wholeness. I'm interested in longevity. I'm interested in your soul thriving, not just your image surviving. That's why I kept you in the hidden place longer than you wanted, because what's coming needs a version of you that's been rooted, not just noticed. The world celebrates speed, but I build depth. The world pushes hustle, but I cultivate healing. And now, as you stand in this moment, wondering if this conversation is too delayed to matter, I lean in close and say, you're exactly where I can reach you. I never needed you to be earlier. I needed you to be ready. And now, even with your doubts, your weariness, your hesitations, you're ready in a way you weren't before. Not because you feel it, but because I said it. And my word is not shaken by your uncertainty. My promises aren't altered by time. I don't cancel what I confirmed. So no, this is not a conversation missed. This is a meeting divinely designed. Right now, as you hear me speak into the parts of you that wondered if it was too late to matter again, know this. I don't recycle leftover dreams. I breathe new life into what looked dormant. I resurrect. I restore. I renew. And you are standing in the beginning of that renewal, not by accident, but by appointment. The timing is perfect not because you feel ready, but because I am. So take a breath. Shake off the shame of delay. Stop rehearsing how far you think you've fallen. I'm not here to review your timeline. I'm here to redeem it. I'm not here to remind you of where you paused. I'm here to reawaken what I planted. And I'm not just giving you a fresh start, I'm giving you the fullness of everything that was always meant for you. We haven't lost anything that I cannot restore. So let me say it again, louder than the doubts. This is not too late. This is right on time. You've looked at your life and questioned why the weight is so heavy, why the battles have been so frequent, why the path feels lonelier than what you imagined when you first believed it. You've whispered in the dark, why does it always feel like this? Why does it seem harder for me? And my answer isn't wrapped in punishment, it's rooted in purpose. I chose you because I saw what others overlooked. I knew the resilience buried beneath your wounds, the sensitivity that most mistook for weakness, the depth of your spirit that others never bothered to explore. I chose you because you carry something rare, a heart that doesn't quit, even when it's breaking. I didn't assign you pain. I entrusted you with perseverance. I didn't design the storms, but I knew you'd still stand in the middle of them. Others saw your appearance. I saw your capacity. I saw your ability to carry my heart into places where most would collapse. I saw the way your pain would become compassion, how your losses would translate into love, how your scars would speak louder than sermons. You've asked me why not someone stronger, someone more qualified. And I smile, not because I take joy in your struggle, but because you don't even realize how much strength you've already shown just by enduring what was designed to destroy you. You made it through seasons where no one clapped for you, through mornings where hope was a decision, not a feeling. You kept walking when there was no roadmap. You stayed faithful when the answers were delayed. It doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go unrewarded. Heaven has watched every silent victory. You've carried burdens without seeking credit. You've served when you had nothing left. You've forgiven when it cost you everything. This isn't just about what you survive. It's about what I'm preparing to build on top of what you've been through. You didn't go through all this for nothing. You weren't broken for decoration. You were broken to carry glory. You weren't crushed to be discarded. You were pressed to be poured out. And now, the world will begin to see what I've known all along. You are more than a survivor. You are a carrier of presence. You are a vessel of light. You are proof that I still heal, still call, still raise up those the world disqualified. You're not why me. You're because I chose you for this exact moment. You've wondered if anyone sees the weight you've carried quietly. I do. I always have. And while others selected the loud, the visible, the prominent, I picked you, the one who has been refined in private, trained through trials, built in secret. You are not invisible to me. You are central to my plan. You're not here by coincidence. You are evidence that I never stop calling the unlikely. And I'm not finished. You're not just anointed, you're appointed. You're not just willing, you're ready. Not because you feel confident, but because I've forged something in you that will withstand what's ahead. And no one will understand it fully, but they'll know something different surrounds you. My hand, my voice, my oil. I chose you not for comfort but for calling. I for applause but for impact. And every why me you've asked will soon be replaced with awe, as you see what I've been forming in the dark finally come into the light. I don't choose based on appearances. I choose based on availability, and you kept showing up when no one else saw it. That's why I chose you. That's why I've stayed. That's why I'm still speaking. Because what I planted in you, no one can take, no one can fake, and no one else can carry the way you will. You didn't survive that season because you were the strongest. You didn't make it through because you always knew what to do. You're not standing because life was easy or people were fair. You're still breathing, still rising, still walking through the fire because my hand has held you through it all. Not visibly perhaps, not in ways you could always recognize, but undeniably present in the shadows, in the moments no one else witnessed, when you felt the edge approaching and thought, I can't take anymore. You thought it was coincidence that help came at the last second. You thought it was random, that the door opened just before everything collapsed. But I was behind every rescue, every redirection, every moment your soul didn't give up when it easily could have. Grace has carried you when your own strength failed. Grace has intervened when your logic broke down. Grace has been your shield, your lifeline, your hidden anchor when the waves were louder than your faith. You see, what others called resilience, I call evidence. Proof that I've been sustaining you, proof that my purpose is still unfolding, proof that you're not just wandering through life. You are being led by something much deeper than you realize. You weren't lucky. You were covered. You weren't overlooked. You were preserved. You weren't forgotten. You were being guarded for something that still waits ahead. Even when you felt like quitting, something within you, something not of your own making, kept nudging you forward. That was me. That was grace in action, not a feeling, not a concept, but my power showing up in your weakness, my presence pressing against your breaking point saying, "You will not fall here." You've underestimated the magnitude of what you've come through because survival became normal for you. You've dismissed it as just getting by, but what you don't see is how many battles were won in the unseen while you were simply holding on. You've forgotten how many things I shielded you from. Traps you didn't step into, consequences you did have to carry, pain that could have crushed you but somehow didn't. I saw what tried to take you out. I saw the enemy's strategy. I heard the lies hurled against your identity. I saw the circumstances that tried to unravel your sense of worth. And I stepped in again and again. Sometimes in ways you felt, other times in silence, but always in love. You're still here not because you did everything right, but because I never stopped believing in what I placed inside of you. You doubted yourself. You've replayed the past and wondered how you made it out. And here is the truth. It was me. It was grace when you didn't recognize it as grace. It was mercy when you thought it was chance. I was there when the decisions felt too big. I was there when the loneliness screamed louder than hope. I was there when tears soaked your pillow, when you smiled in public and cried behind closed doors, when your courage failed but your breath kept coming. And today, I need you to know, your story isn't being held together by coincidence. It's being authored by compassion. I am the reason your story didn't end in that dark season. I am the one who carried you through the valley no one saw. And I'm not finished. The same grace that brought you this far is already walking ahead, making a way where you see none, providing answers you haven't thought to ask yet, healing wounds you've forgotten to mention. Your future isn't based on chance. It's rooted in covenant. And every step forward is confirmation. You're still here, not by accident, not by chance, but because grace chose you to continue. Nothing slipped through my fingers unnoticed. No relationship, opportunity, season, or version of yourself disappeared without me seeing the full picture. You cried over what left. You mourned the things that faded without closure. You held the weight of silent goodbyes, unspoken endings, and sudden changes that shook your foundation. I saw the exact moments when your hands were forced to let go, when what you loved either walked away or was stripped without warning. You questioned the timing, you wrestled with the pain, and you wondered if anything would ever feel whole again. And while you stood in the aftermath, ticking up what remained, I stood beside you, not to explain everything but to hold you while you couldn't understand any of it. You assumed because I didn't stop the loss, I must have endorsed it. But child, I was already weaving redemption into the pain before the goodbye even happened. I never waste anything, not even sorrow. What was taken, what slipped, what broke, I kept track of it all. Every investment of love you made, every seed of loyalty you planted, every sacrifice that went unnoticed, every part of yourself you gave in obedience, unadvised to nothing. It's been accounted for in heaven. You may not have seen a harvest yet, but the soil isn't empty. The roots are deeper than you know. And while it may feel like loss is the loudest chapter in your story, I am already turning the page. You didn't lose just to grieve. You lost to make room. You didn't walk through heartbreak just to suffer. You walked through it so I could rebuild you in a way that doesn't shatter the same way twice. You see what's missing, but I see what's next. You feel what was removed, but I'm preparing what's being returned. Not just what you had before, but better, fuller, stronger, sanctified by fire and seasoned by trust. I know how to repay in ways that don't resemble the original. I know how to breathe life into barren places without recreating the past. What you love may not return in the same shape, but what's coming will carry the beauty, the weight, and the glory that the last chapter lacked. I saw your heartbreak. I heard your silent cries. I felt your soul fracture beneath the pressure of what you weren't ready to lose. And I've been healing places in you that you haven't had words to describe. Even now, your mourning has touched my heart, not as a weakness but as worship. Because even in your grief, you've stayed connected to me. Even in your confusion, you've kept your hands open. And now I tell you, you will not come out of this empty. You will not carry the label of the one who always loses. That's not your identity. That's not your ending. I am the God who restores years, not just things. I am the one who returns joy, who brings new wine where the old has run dry, who plants fresh dreams where everything once seemed ruined. You have survived enough. You have waited long enough. The season of barrenness is bowing to the season of rebuilding. And no, it won't look how you expected, because I'm not bringing back what you lost exactly as it was. I'm replacing it with what you needed all along. Restoration is not duplication. It's elevation. And now, as you stand here wondering if anything beautiful can be born from what broke, hear me clearly. I'm already making something grow. You just haven't seen the bloom yet. But when you do, you'll realize, I never let anything be taken without preparing something far greater in return. So lift your eyes, beloved. Recovery has begun. I know how deeply you've been marked. I know how the betrayal left you questioning everything about yourself. I know how the disappointment made you shrink, how the rejection etched its name across your confidence, how the silence after giving your best left you feeling invisible. Pain has a way of echoing long after the moment has passed, and it has whispered things into your identity that I never spoke. It tried to rename you, reduce you, convince you that you must have deserved what happened. You started identifying with the damage. You looked in the mirror and saw what was done to you, not who you truly are. But today, I need you to stop defining yourself by the bleeding places. The pain was real, yes, but it is not your name. That heartbreak is not your reflection. That setback is not your value. That failure is not your identity. You've been letting what wounded you tell you what you're worth. But child, scars are not shame. They are survival stories. You are not the one who got broken. You are the one who kept breathing. You are not the one who got left. You are the one I never abandoned. You are not the one who lost. You are the one I've been raising from the ashes. You see the aftermath and call yourself damaged. I see the process and call you chosen. I know who you were before they hurt you. I know who you are beneath what life has tried to bury. I've never lost sight of the masterpiece beneath the mess. And I am not finished restoring what the world thought was too far gone. Stop letting pain sit on the throne of your identity. It doesn't get to define your capacity, your future, or your worth. You are not someone who needs to prove their value again. You are someone who carries eternal worth, stamped by my hands, declared before you ever took a breath. No experience, no person, no season gets to override what I've already spoken over you. That's why I'm here, interrupting your thoughts, because too long you've let pain narrate the story. Too long you've adjusted yourself to fit what others projected onto you. Too long you've doubted your strength, replayed their words, internalized the rejection. But I'm rewriting this now. You are not fragile. You're fortified. You are not forgotten. You are remembered in every detail. You are not discarded. You are destined for impact. I'm not asking you to pretend the pain didn't happen. I'm asking you to stop making it the lens through which you view your existence. You're not the things they did. You're not the promises they broke. You're not the silence they left behind. You're mine. You've been mine through the healing and the hiding, through the high moments and the heartbreak. And now I'm bringing your worth back into focus, not by what you've experienced, but by who I've called you to be. This is not about erasing your past. This is about restoring your perspective. The pain shaped you, yes, but it doesn't own you. I do. And when I say you're whole, it's not a suggestion. It's a heavenly decree. When I say you're worthy, it's not based on behavior. It's sealed in blood. I will not let what hurt you continue to haunt how you see yourself. That's not your identity. That's not your label. That's not your truth. So let it go. Lay it down. Let me replace the narrative with my promise. Let me rebuild the parts of you that forgot how valuable you are. You are not a reflection of pain. You are the result of promise. And I see more in you than every wound combined. You are whole. You are wanted. You are worthy. Not in spite of what happened, but because my love makes all things new. You've been bracing yourself for consequences that were never mine to give. You've lived waiting for the next blow, convinced that what you've been through must be repayment for where you've fallen short. Somewhere along the way, you began to expect discipline more than restoration, judgment more than mercy, distance more than affection. You began to associate my presence with fear instead of freedom, and I want to clear that confusion right now. I don't come with a list of your faults in my hands. I come with healing in my voice and hope in my eyes. My purpose in your life is not to replay the moments you regret. I'm not focused on punishment. I'm focused on redemption, full, deep, permanent redemption. I'm not interested in seeing you sit in cycles of guilt. I came to lift you from the places where shame has buried your potential. I'm not pointing at what's broken in you to highlight your mistakes. I'm showing you the cracks so I can fill them with something eternal. I don't want to remind you of where you failed. I want to remind you that I never left you, even there. I saw the exact moment you fell, and I never turned away. I saw the choice that hurt you, and instead of condemning, I began preparing a way back. I'm not here to replay your downfall. I'm here to ride what comes next. Your brokenness is not a barrier for me. It's a doorway. A place I enter not with anger, but with compassion. I step into the ruins not to scold you, but to rebuild with better materials, with stronger truth, with more love than you've ever experienced before. You've learned to hide your cracks, thinking I only dwell where everything is polished and perfect. But I come to where the pieces lie scattered, to where the story stopped too soon, to where the dreams were dropped and never picked up again. That's where I do my best work, not in the appearance of strength, but in the admission of need. I'm not holding anything over your head. I'm not keeping score. I'm not counting how long it's taken you to come back. I'm simply here, arms open, voice steady, heart ready to restore. The damage doesn't scare me. The past doesn't disqualify you. The mess doesn't make me walk away. It makes me move closer. I'm not standing at a distance, shaking my head. I'm kneeling in the dust beside you, offering to carry what you were never meant to hold alone. The beauty of redemption isn't that it erases what happened. It transforms it. It gives purpose to pain. It gives strength to the parts of your story that once only brought shame. And I know that's hard to imagine, that the places where you were most deeply hurt could one day be the very places I'll use to bring life to others and to you. But that's what I do. I bring gardens out of wastelands. I create beauty out of ashes. I bring songs where there were once only sighs. My redemption is not just spiritual, it's personal. It touches every part of you. Your history, your memories, your identity. I don't want to just change your future. I want to redeem your past. I want to take what once haunted you and turn it into evidence of how closely I stayed. I want to turn the pages you've been too ashamed to read into the very chapters where my love will shine the brightest. You don't have to pay me back. You don't have to prove yourself. You just have to be willing to let me do what only I can. Take what was fractured and make it more whole than it's ever been. So no, I'm not here to punish you. I'm here to redeem everything that once tried to convince you it was over. I didn't need the words to know your heart. You thought your quiet moments meant I had nothing to respond to, that if you didn't speak, I wasn't moving. But your silence wasn't a void to me. It was a sanctuary. I heard everything your soul was aching to say. I felt the heaviness in the pauses between your breaths. I saw what you couldn't form into language. You looked around, hoping someone would ask what was wrong, hoping someone would notice you were holding more than you could explain. But even when no one else leaned in, I did. When your thoughts swirled faster than your voice could keep up, I leaned in closer. You believed prayer had to be polished, that it had to sound strong, structured, expressive. But what you didn't know is that when you closed your eyes and simply sat in stillness, I received that like an offering. When you turned your face away from the world and whispered nothing at all, I knew exactly what you were saying. Your silence didn't scare me. It drew me nearer. In your quiet hours, when all you could do was sigh or weep or sit in a chair and stare at nothing, I was interpreting every unspoken request, every invisible cry, every unsaid plea. You didn't have to get it right. You didn't have to perform. You didn't have to fight to be heard. I've always known the language of your silence, and I've always responded in ways you couldn't always trace, but could feel in the moments when hope found you again without warning. You thought the silence made your connection with me weaker, but I want you to know, silence can sometimes be the loudest form of trust. Because you didn't walk away. You didn't stop coming to me. You still showed up, even if only in spirit. You didn't close the door to my presence. You just didn't have the strength to speak. And that was never a barrier for me. I'm not limited to what comes out of your mouth. I dwell in what's hidden deep inside, in the rooms of your soul no one else enters. And I've been sitting with you there. You weren't alone in the quiet. I was there, holding space, listening without judgment, waiting without demand, comforting without requiring anything in return. Every time your heart sank, and no one knew, I did. Every time you swallowed the emotion because you didn't know how to express it, I saw. And in those sacred, still moments, I moved in ways only heaven noticed. I surrounded you with peace when anxiety screamed. I placed strength in your spirit when you felt empty. I gave you just enough energy to get through one more day. I orchestrated small mercies you didn't see, miracles that slipped in like gentle breezes, not because you asked with words, but because your soul reached out in surrender. I honor that kind of prayer. I recognize that depth. I don't require sound to hear you. I only need honesty. And you've been more honest in the silence than you'd even realized. So stop thinking I was disappointed in your quiet season. I cheer you. I was there. I answered. Not with fanfare, but with faithfulness. Not with flashes of lightning, but with steady, unseen acts of love that kept you breathing, kept you standing, kept you returning. You may not have said much, but I never stopped listening. I never stopped responding. And now, I want you to know, every silent moment mattered. Every word you didn't say still carried weight. And every tear you thought went unnoticed was caught by my compassion before it ever fell. You've been heard in ways beyond human understanding. And I'm still answering, even now. I've watched you try to prove yourself worthy, silently striving, constantly evaluating, always wondering if you're enough for me to stay close. You've measured your standing with me by your performance, how well you prayed, how steady your emotions were, how long you could go without stumbling. You've tried to keep up a version of yourself you think I'd be more pleased with. The one who doesn't need help, who doesn't get overwhelmed, who always reacts the right way. But that's not the version I ever fell in love with. I didn't start loving you the day you got everything right. I loved you before you even knew what right was. I loved you before you lifted your first prayer, before you cracked open the first page of scripture, before you tried to fix what was broken inside. My love wasn't triggered by your effort. It's not some reward at the end of flawless living. It is the beginning. It is the root. It is the unshakable foundation that everything else is meant to grow from. You don't have to earn it because you already carry it. It's not up for negotiation, and it doesn't shrink when you fail. You keep thinking that one more act of obedience will finally tip the scale. That one more act of sacrifice will secure your position in my heart. But child, nothing can secure what's already settled. I chose to love you, completely, freely, unconditionally. I didn't sign a contract that depends on your perfection. I made a covenant that depends only on my faithfulness. I'm not watching your every move, waiting for you to disqualify yourself. I'm walking with you every step, reminding you that you're already mine. You've been trying to reach a standard I never set for you, a level of flawlessness that isn't the goal. I never asked for performance, I asked for relationship. I never demanded a spotless record. I asked for your heart. You've exhausted yourself trying to keep me close, not realizing I was never going anywhere. You assumed that falling short would make me pull back. But it's in the shortfall that I draw even closer. It's when you run out of strength that I show you what mine looks like. It's when you realize you can't earn it that you finally understand just how free it truly is. I don't give love as a loan. I don't extend affection with strings attached. I don't test you to see how far you can go before I withdraw. I've already decided. I've already sealed it. I've already paid for every moment you thought would cancel what I feel for you. Your wins don't make me love you more. Your wounds don't make me love you less. You are not on trial in my presence. You're not performing for my approval. You're not climbing a ladder to gain entrance to what was always yours. When I said it is finished, I meant that you never had to wonder again whether you belonged with me. You never had to wake up questioning your place in my heart. You never had to rehearse perfection to feel safe in my embrace. You already have what you've been striving for. My love is not waiting at the end of your good behavior. It surrounds you right now, even with your doubts, even in your mess, even in the places you're still trying to clean up. So breathe. Rest. Stop measuring yourself by an impossible scale. I'm not looking for your perfection. I'm inviting your presence. Come just as you are. That's who I fell in love with. And nothing you do or don't do will ever change that. You've kept moving, even when everything inside you begged for rest. You've stayed strong for others when no one stayed to check on your own strength. You smiled through the tension, pushed through the uncertainty, and held things together longer than anyone realizes. And though you haven't said it aloud, I know you're weary. Not just physically, but at the deepest level, the kind of exhaustion that settles into your spirit and quietly steals your capacity to dream, to hope, to feel fully alive. You're not weak for feeling this. You're human. You've poured yourself out without receiving the refill your soul desperately needs. You've shown up again and again, thinking, if I can just make it through this next thing, maybe I'll breathe again. But that breath, the one you keep postponing, I'm offering it to you now. Not as something you earn, but as something I give freely, rest. Not the kind that comes from sleep alone, but the kind that soaks into your bones and resets your rhythm. The kind that doesn't wait for the chaos to end before offering peace. I'm not asking you to push through anymore. I'm inviting you to fall back into me. You don't have to hold everything up right now. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to keep forcing yourself to act okay when you're unraveling inside. I can see it all, and I'm not standing back, watching you struggle. I'm right beside you, reaching for what you've been carrying too long. Let me take it. Let me lift the pressure that was never yours to bear. Let me cradle your heaviness with the tenderness only I can offer. I'm not disappointed that you're worn out. I'm moved by how long you've held on. I know what it cost you to keep going. I know how much you've suppressed. How often you've pushed your own needs to the side because others were counting on you. But now, I want you to know, I'm the one you can collapse into. You don't have to explain. You don't have to perform. Just lean. You've held the burden of expectations, responsibilities, regrets, and unspoken grief. But it was never meant to be yours alone. I've watched you juggle what was never yours to carry. I've heard your sighs when no one else was listening. I've felt your internal shudder when another task landed on your already overwhelmed heart. And I haven't forgotten you in it. I haven't ignored the heaviness you tried to hide. I'm here, not with more to demand, but with strength to give. When you can't keep walking, I'll carry you. When you can't speak, I'll intercede. When you can't think straight, I'll be the mind of clarity for you. When you feel like you're losing grip, I'll hold your place until your hands are ready again. You're not weak for needing help. You're wise for finally admitting you can't do this alone. I'm not asking you to be superhuman. I'm asking you to let me be God. Rest is not giving up, it's giving over. It's laying down the pride that says I've got this, and embracing the humility that says I can't do this without you. And I honor that humility. I respond to that surrender. I wrap my arms around those who finally stop pretending they can do it all. You've reached that place, and I'm proud of you for arriving here. And now let me do what you were never meant to do alone. Let me carry you, not just for a moment, but for as long as you need. This is not your breaking point. This is your handing over point. And I'm ready. You searched for me in the sky, in miracles, in answered prayers that came wrapped in fireworks, but I've been present in the quiet corners of your life the entire time. I've been in the stillness between your anxious thoughts, in the gentle moments when the world slowed down just enough for you to feel peace for a fleeting second. That whisper you dismissed as your own imagination. That warmth that wrapped around your heart when no one was near. That was me. You've spent so much time wondering if you needed to do more to find me, but I was never hiding. I don't play games with the hearts I love. I'm not waiting for you at the end of some perfect path. I'm already where you are, now even as you read this. You don't have to stretch to reach me. You don't need rituals to summon me. You don't have to wait for a sign to believe I'm near. I've always been closer than you thought. I've stood by you in hospital rooms, lingered beside you in your lowest moments, sat with you in traffic, wept with you in the dark, rejoiced with you when you didn't know why your spirit suddenly felt lighter. You expected my nearness to feel loud, but I'm not always found in thunder. Sometimes I come like wind through an open window, unexpected but undeniable. I don't measure closeness the way you do. I'm not limited by time or space. I'm not confined to a building or a moment of emotional intensity. I dwell in you. I walk with you. I surround every part of your existence. You breathe, and I'm there. You ache, and I'm leaning in. You celebrate, and I'm rejoicing alongside you. You don't have to look far, just inward. You don't have to beg for what's already been given. My presence isn't a reward for those who have it all together. It's a gift, promised and permanent. I didn't leave when you doubted. I didn't back away when you questioned my silence. I didn't disconnect when your prayers stopped flowing. In fact, in those very moments, I drew even closer. Because I don't love you from afar. I walk with you in real time, through real struggles, through real questions. You thought my closeness depended on how well you performed, but my nearness is my nature. I don't love you with conditions. I don't approach you with hesitation. I'm fully present, not distracted, not divided. You are not just one of many. I see you individually, intricately, completely. And I'm right beside you, even now, whispering truth into the places that have long felt abandoned. You might not always feel me, but feelings are not the proof of my presence. Truth is. And the truth is, I've never taken my eyes off you. You may not have felt me during the heartbreak, but I was there, steadying you when your world tilted. You may not have heard me during your anxious nights, but I was speaking, not in volume but in consistency. Every breath you took was under my watch. Every tear you cried fell with my full awareness. Every hope you buried, I've been watering. And now, I need you to know, I'm not a God who visits. I'm a God who dwells. I'm not passing through. I'm staying. I'm not unreachable. I'm within arm's reach, even closer. Before a thought crosses your mind, I've already wrapped my presence around it. Before a word escapes your lips, I've already responded with love. You are not alone. You've never been. And you never will be. So stop wondering if I'm far away. I'm already here, in the silence, in the tension, in the beauty, in the unknown. Just breathe, and know I'm near. I know what happened. I know where it broke. I felt the fracture when you began to pull away, not with your feet, but with your heart. Something shifted when the outcome didn't match your prayers. When the waiting dragged on, when the silence stretched too long, when the pain came uninvited and stayed longer than you thought you could endure, that's when your confidence in me began to fade. Not because you stopped loving me, but because you didn't understand me. You didn't walk away because of anger. You distanced yourself because of confusion. You've been afraid to fully lean in again, afraid that if you hoped like before, you might hurt like before. So you stayed guarded. You kept your expectations low. You convinced yourself it's safer to love me from a distance than risk being disappointed again. But I see through your protection. I see through the way you keep smiling while silently holding back pieces of yourself. And I'm not angry. I'm here to restore what was lost. I'm not asking you to trust blindly. I'm asking you to trust me honestly. I'm not expecting instant surrender. I'm asking for one small opening in the wall you built. Not so I can force my way through, but so I can gently begin to show you who I truly am, not just who you assumed I was during the trial. I never asked you to ignore your pain. I never expected you to pretend you weren't disappointed. But I also never stopped being the same God, the one who never lies, who never leaves, who never gives up on the work he begins. You've been scared to let your guard down again. You've been carrying silent doubts, questioning whether I truly care as deeply as I say. But I can handle your questions. I welcome them. I want to meet you where you stopped believing that I'm good. Not to rebuke you, but to heal that place. I want to show you that I'm not only trustworthy when things go according to your plans, but even more so when they don't. You've been bracing yourself for another letdown. That's not how I want you to live. You weren't created to survive on cautious hope. You were made to walk confidently in the light of my promises, not because you control the outcome, but because you trust my character. That's what trust truly is, not a guarantee that life will be easy, but a deep assurance that I will not fail you, even when life feels like it has. So let's start again. Let's rebuild not on assumptions, but on real encounters with who I am. Let me show you that I still speak, that I still lead, that I still know what's best, even when you can't see the full picture. I want you to trust not because you're trying to earn something, but because you've encountered my consistency. You don't have to force it. You don't have to pretend you're ready. Just bring me the pieces. Bring me the raw, fragile places you've hidden. Let's build from there. Let's begin with honesty, not performance. I'm not interested in polished faith. I want what's real. If all you can say is, I'm afraid to trust again, then say that. That's enough. That's the beginning. Because where there's honesty, I can bring healing. And where there's healing, trust will rise again, slowly, steadily, deeply. I won't rush you. I won't pressure you. I'll just stay, patiently proving to you over time that I never stopped being worthy of your trust. Let's rebuild together, one moment at a time. Not through fear, not through guilt, but through the quiet, solid truth. I never left, and I never will. You've been measuring what's ahead by what's behind, and that's where the fear started creeping in. You've allowed former chapters to set the tone for what's possible, quietly asking yourself, will it always be like that? And I understand. I truly do. Because when you've walked through seasons of delay, defeat, or devastation, it's easy to let those experiences form invisible fences around your future. But listen closely now. What you went through did not disqualify you. It didn't end your story. It was never the final word. In fact, it shaped something in you that comfort never could have produced. The fire didn't burn you, it refined you. The loss didn't destroy you, it awakened you. The mistakes didn't remove you from my plans, they revealed just how much grace surrounds you. You think your history is holding you back, but I see how it's actually been working for you. I see how it softened your heart, sharpened your vision, deepened your dependence. I never wasted a moment of it. Not a single pain, not a single failure, not a single regret. All of it has been woven into the framework of what I'm building now. You had to walk through it to see what truly matters. You had to experience those disappointments so you could recognize when real joy returns. You had to feel that emptiness so you'd know how full I truly am when you allow me to be your source. The past didn't block your destiny, it carved out the capacity for what's coming. You think you've been delayed, but I've been aligning every piece. You think you've been set back, but I've been setting the stage. I know what they said about you. I know how you've replayed those moments, wondering if one decision or one season ruined everything. But I'm here to tell you, nothing is ruined. I am the Redeemer, and I don't restore by simply giving back what was lost. I bring something far better than what was before. What you see as broken history, I see as fertile ground. Your tears watered something. Your surrender cleared space. Your humility unlocked a new kind of strength. I'm not moving despite your past, I'm moving through it. That's the kind of power I carry. I turn defeat into doorways. I turn pain into platforms. I turn memories that haunted you into markers of my mercy. You've believed the lie that your yesterday dictates what I can do today. But I want you to know I've already dealt with the weight of what was. I don't consult your past to decide your future. I look at my purpose for you, and I move forward with you. You've been stuck in what didn't work. You've carried guilt for who you used to be. You've lived under shadows that no longer belong to you. But today, I'm asking you to let all of that fall away. You are not bound to what broke you. You are not defined by the chapters you wish you could rewrite. You are not disqualified, you are equipped. You don't need to go back and fix it all. You need to walk forward and trust that I've already redeemed what you left behind. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for permission. Permission to guide you into a future that doesn't look like your past. And if you let me, you'll see, I've been preparing something all along. Something you're finally ready for. Something that couldn't come sooner, because it had to be you, whole, refined, awake, and willing. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not cursed. You're prepared. And now, we go forward, not as a victim of what happened, but as a carrier of what's possible. Because your future hasn't been canceled, it's just getting started. There were desires once burning bright within you, dreams you dared to whisper in your prayers, ideas you held close when no one understood them. But over time, as delays dragged on and doors closed in your face, you began to quietly place those dreams in the back corners of your heart, assuming they were too fragile, too impossible, too far gone. You convinced yourself it was safer not to hope. You told yourself maybe you heard me wrong. But I never forgot. I never dismissed what you once brought to me in faith. I held them gently, not to withhold them, but to shield them until you were ready to carry the weight of their fulfillment. You see, it wasn't the dream that needed fixing, it was the timing. And while you assumed silence meant denial, what was really happening was protection. I was maturing the dream and maturing you, simultaneously. Because premature blessings can become burdens. And if I had allowed some things to unfold earlier, they might have broken you instead of building you. But now the soil has shifted. The conditions are changing you. You are not who you used to be when you first asked. The waiting transformed you. The detours purified your motives. The struggles taught you endurance. And I can trust you with more now. What once felt like a closed chapter is about to become a new beginning. I haven't erased what matters to you. I've been expanding it in secret. Even when you stopped praying for it, I kept working on it. Even when you assumed it was over, I whispered life into it again. Because your dreams aren't just random ambitions, many of them were seeds I planted inside you. They were glimpses of my purpose in your heart's language. And while others may have dismissed them, I saw them as sacred. You thought letting go was a loss, but it was part of the process. Because some things must be surrendered before they can be truly fulfilled. And now, on the other side of surrender, I'm reviving what you thought had withered. You're about to feel a familiar fire again, not driven by striving, but stirred by my spirit. This time, it won't be born out of your effort. It will be fueled by my strength. You won't have to chase after it. It will begin aligning around you. Connections will start to form where there were once only walls. Opportunities will arrive that don't make sense on paper. People will enter your life who speak directly to the very passions you thought were irrelevant. Because this is how I work, I don't forget. I don't lose track. And I don't plan anything without purpose. Even your pain had a part to play in the preparation. Even the delay was laced with divine intent. I want you to begin looking again, not through the lens of fear, but with expectation. Begin to reawaken the things you shelved. Bring them to me once more, not to demand their fulfillment, but to offer them again in trust. Let me breathe life into them. Let me show you what I had in mind all along. I know how deeply some of those dreams mattered to you, and I know how hard it was to release them. But child, I didn't bury them. I protected them from being broken too soon. And now, I'm ready to unfold them in a way that not only blesses you, but touches others too. This is not just about your personal joy, it's about kingdom impact. I'm raising your vision. I'm widening your reach. What you once saw as a personal hope, I now reveal as a strategic part of my greater plan. And if you will walk with me, one step at a time, one yes at a time, you'll see those old dreams become present realities. Not by might, not by manipulation, but by my spirit, moving through a surrendered heart. It's time to stop mourning what you thought was gone. It's time to see that what you laid down is being lifted again, in power, in purpose, and in perfect timing. You didn't cry all those tears in vain. The nights when no one knew how much you were breaking on the inside. The mornings when you smiled while silently carrying what felt unbearable. I saw all of it. Your silent battles were not wasted. The ache you held back, the heartbreak you pushed through, the discouragement you buried beneath your responsibilities, none of it has been forgotten. I was with you in each trembling moment, and I recorded every sigh. What you thought was just suffering was actually sowing. The ground of your soul was being tilled, not to destroy you, but to plant something eternal. You were becoming a shelter for someone else's storm. Because there are people coming who will walk through fire just like you did. But unlike you, they won't have to do it alone. You will carry wisdom into their confusion. You will speak clarity where they only feel chaos. You will shine light into rooms you once sat in dark. You're not just coming out of that season with scars, you're emerging with keys. Not just keys to unlock your next chapter, but keys that open prison doors for others. That's what I've been building in you. That's what your agony hath been shaping, not a reason to give up, but a reason to step up. You may have thought, no one will understand what I've gone through, but I tell you, you will become the very proof that survival is possible. People will hear your story and find strength to continue their own. You'll offer more than comfort. You'll carry revelation, because you've lived what they're just now walking into. This is how I turn grief into ministry. This is how I transform trauma into tools. What nearly crushed you is now becoming the foundation you will stand on. And I want you to know this. Your transparency will not make you weak in their eyes. It will make you trustworthy. Because people aren't looking for perfect examples. They're desperate for honest ones. They won't be drawn to your victories. They'll be healed through your vulnerability. When you share what I brought you through, the walls around their hearts will start to crumble. They will feel seen. They will feel less alone. They will see that if I was faithful to you, then I can be faithful to them too. Your healing won't be selfish. It will overflow. Every lesson, every moment you wanted to give up but didn't, every whisper of faith you clung to in the silence, it's all been shaping your voice. And now I'm calling you to use it. No longer will you live as someone trying to hide their wounds. You will rise as a carrier of hope, clothed in compassion, speaking with authority that only pain could have taught. Your past won't define you, but it will equip you. And when you speak, you won't have to convince them with eloquence. Your very presence will carry anointing. Because the oil that flows from a crushed place is always the purest. You are not who you used to be, and that's the testimony. They'll look at you and ask, "How did you make it through?" And you will be able to say, "It wasn't me, it was him." You'll point them to me without even trying, because the light now in you will be undeniable. I allowed you to walk through the valley not so you could set up camp there, but so you could lead others out. And child, this is just the beginning. I am multiplying your endurance into influence. I am taking your tears and turning them into rivers of refreshment for others. Don't downplay what I've done in your life. Don't silence the story I've written with your obedience. It's more powerful than you realize. It's going to matter to someone who thinks their story is over. Your journey is about to become their lifeline. You will say, "I know exactly how that feels," and they will break. Not out of weakness, but because the weight they carried alone is finally seen. And in that moment, my love will rush in. Will you? Because you allowed the fire to refine, not define you. Because you said yes even when it hurt. Because you held on when everything told you to let go. This is why I can trust you to carry the next chapter, not just for yourself, but for the ones who are coming behind you. They won't just follow your advice, they'll follow your footsteps. And your pain will have finally served its highest purpose, not just survival, but revival. My beloved, I knew exactly what I was doing when I allowed the weight to rest on your shoulders. It was never accompaniment with gravitation. Others would have buckled beneath what you endured, but I saw something in you that you had not yet discovered. I saw a resilience that could only be activated through fire. I saw wisdom that would only surface when there was no one left to lean on but me. I saw a capacity for mercy that would pour out when you had every reason to withhold it. I didn't give you the easier path because I was writing a deeper testimony with your life. The extra weight wasn't there to crush you. It was forming the frame for a bridge that others would one day walk across. That pain, it wasn't wasted. That silence, it wasn't abandonment. And delay, it wasn't rejection. All of it was layering strength into your foundation, one silent cry at a time. Even when you felt buried, I was expanding you. While you were asking me to take it away, I was reinforcing your roots. When you whispered, "I can't handle this," I whispered back, "But I'm with you in it." And every time you didn't quit, even when quitting felt like the only option, the bridge you were building grew stronger. You see, this isn't just about your journey. It's about the many who will be guided by your endurance. There are souls assigned to your obedience, and they won't be able to reach their destiny unless you remain faithful in yours. That's why the pressure has been so intense. That's why the process has taken longer than you expected. Because I wasn't just working on the surface of your story. I was laying down sacred blueprints in the unseen. That road you've had to walk through hardship, betrayal, misunderstanding, and storms. It will become the safest path for others to cross over into breakthrough. And they'll be able to trust the ground beneath them, because it was once ground you suffered on. You've been forged in fire not for display, but for destiny. You're not a decoration in my kingdom. You're a structure, a builder, a deliverer, one who carries what few dare to carry and who stands when others would fall. That's why the enemy has fought you so hard. Not because of your past, but because of your potential. He saw what I was constructing in secret, and he tried everything to sabotage it before you even understood what I was doing. But here you are, still breathing, still standing, still holding on. And that, child, is why you're dangerous to darkness. because you didn't allow pain to poison you. You let it mature you. You allowed it to make you more compassionate, not more cynical. You didn't build walls, you became one. One others can lean on when their strength fails. You became shelter. You became safe ground. You became evidence that I can use anything and anyone, not just to heal but to lead. That bridge you're building with every tear, every test, every night you chose to keep walking instead of turning back, it is sacred. It is eternal. And soon, you will look behind you and see souls walking where you once crawled. People crossing safely over what once threatened to drown you. And you will weep, not from sorrow, but from joy. The kind of joy that knows every bruise became a brick in something greater than itself. The kind of joy that sees how nothing was in vain. I tell you today, do not despise the burden. For what felt like heaviness was actually honor. I trusted you with what many prayed to avoid. And you made it through not just for you, but for the multitude. You are my vessel. You are my chosen path for others. Keep walking, my builder. Keep standing, my beloved. The bridge is almost complete. And soon, you will watch as I flood it with the footsteps of the ones you were always meant to carry. Amen.